Hi, good afternoon. My name is Sonya Doswell, and we'd like to welcome you to Solminod, where all things are possible. We have exciting show for you today, and a very special guest is here with us. Not in the studio. We are Skyping her in from Seattle, Washington, so we will introduce our guest to you in just a moment. I just wanted to make the announcement that my staff and I were able to get together. The Solminod page on Facebook is up and running per your requests, so you can just go ahead and pull up Solminod, Solminod, on Facebook, and see everything that's going on on Solminod, and how all things are possible. All of the links are on there for all of the previous shows that we've had and announcements talking about our upcoming guests. So you can go ahead and check that out on Facebook under Solminod. So the Chilean miners have been rescued. Hallelujah. What a miraculous event that was. It was very exciting. I was able to see number 16 come out. I wish I had time to watch more, but very touching and very moving. I'm looking forward to the movie coming out and hearing all the details of how they put their united effort forward to survive and come out on top and not tearing each other apart down there. And I think that God will be glorified. I really believe it's their faith and the prayers of all who've been holding them up. So we congratulate each and every one of them and their families. So without any further ado, we are all aware that October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month and has been for maybe about 15 years now, I think, huh? Yeah, about 15 years. Well, a very, very dear friend of mine, actually, she's kind of like if I was Oprah, like she's one of my Gales. You know, you have a Gale in your life. This is like one of my Gale kings in my life. My girl Rhonda is with us today. Rhonda Bremond. Rick, we want to go ahead and put her on. Hi, Rhonda. Thanks for joining us here.
Hey, Son, how's it going?
It's going great, thank you. So I was just saying how much you are just my girl in my heart, and I love you. And we've been friends for about 10 years now, but there was a little bit of a wrench thrown into things within this past year, and that's why you're the guest on our show today, huh?
Well, unfortunately, it might have taken that for me to get on your show. So,
oh, I doubt that.
I'm happy to be here, nonetheless.
No, I have about 4 more episodes in mind that I want to have you on. But in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I thought, you know what, let's just go ahead and have Rhonda on talking about and sharing her testimony now while it is October. So, okay, my girl. So, Seattle, Washington, good morning to you. I thank you for tuning in here in the morning to be on Solminod. We met about 10 years ago, right?
About 10 years ago at a Ladies the Bible Study in Kirkland, Washington.
Yes.
We just happened to be sitting next to each other. And I always like telling the story because you know how sometimes that can be awkward. You're sitting next to somebody you don't know, and you're trying to be as, nice as possible. And hospitable and sweet and put your best foot forward and not step on any toes or, just kind of be nice.
Gotta be all churchy like.
But at the end of the Bible study, the teacher said, now just turn to the person sitting next to you and just pray for each other. And so I think you went first, and Sonya began to pray for me like I have never been prayed for before. And instead of having my head down, I had to open one eye and say, who is this woman praying? And so then, of course, when it was my turn, that just gave me free rein to just go for it myself.
Yes.
And I think that's how we linked up in the spirit.
Yes.
Because just from praying with each other from that first meeting. And we've been friends ever since.
Yeah, that's right. And I will never forget that day. And, I tell you, Rhonda, ever since I've met you, I have this little phrase. I want to be just like Rhonda when I grow up.
Yes, I am older than you. That's right. You better believe it.
Not by much now. Not by much. But Rhonda, you just got to fuss over you for just a second if you don't mind. Rhonda, you just epitomize that mighty woman of valor, that Proverbs 31 woman that woman of God. You know, if you look up that term in the dictionary, you're not going to find religiosity and judgment and criticism, and you just find wisdom and grace and the joy of the Lord and sincerity and everything that is right and real.
So sweet.
That is my girl. That is Rhonda. And so yes, when I grow up, I want to be just like Rhonda.
I love you, girl, and I've appreciated your friendship and your support through all the years we've known each other, and especially since you've moved there to Iowa from Seattle. I miss you terribly, and it's neat that we can still remain close friends.
Yeah, it is. And Rhonda is also a recording artist and has an amazing angelic anointed voice. She's come out for 3 different conferences that we've put on through the ministry that we run, and has just been a blessing to the people here in Iowa. So there are many people here who just love Rhonda and love her message and her ministry, and that have just received from her as well right here in Iowa. So I look forward to you coming back, girl. But it has been so nice that I have the flight benefits and I'm able to hop on the plane and come home to Seattle and hook up with you guys and spend some time with you here and there, and whether it's girl time or family time, and I'm so grateful for that, because I do miss you dearly. I miss seeing you, 2-3 days a week.
Yeah.
Like we used to, So, but today we have an amazing story to tell you about this journey that my girl has walked through in a very unique way, with such wisdom and grace and faith, a whole lot of faith, and just choosing to say, I know that this is before me, and always looking forward instead of what could easily happen, being in this situation, looking at all of the negative aspects and the terrible and horrific aspects of it. Her story is just very unique, and I've asked her to come on today so that she can share her journey with us in defeating breast cancer. So Rhonda, how did this start with you?
Well, Sonya, every year since I've been about maybe 35, I've got my annual mammogram.
Mm-hmm.
The last year I got a mammogram, and I got the results back saying that everything was normal, and they just noted that there were some calcifications.
Okay.
Calcifications, as breast tissue ages, especially if you've had children and you've nursed those children, calcifications are kind of part of the natural aging process of mammary glands, because I guess there's still milk deposits in the glands, and so it kind of makes sense, calcium deposits that they'll see, and they kind of look like dandruff specks, like if you were to look at them on the film. So there's nothing, surprising or real mind-boggling or nothing that really stands out. They're kind of just kind of anticipated and just noted from if that should show up.
Okay.
And so this year, in December of 2009, I got my regular mammogram the same way, and the results came back, and it said changes in calcifications.
Okay.
Please come in for a magnified mammogram. So that's really the first indication that something was a little different. They just wanted to check it out, and there was still nothing to be ultra concerned about. They just wanted to make sure. Mm-hmm. So I went in for my magnified mammogram, but before I did that, I told my husband, and because my mother passed away from breast cancer in 2005, and I'd kind of walked the journey with her. And in 2008, I had another dear friend of mine, sister in the Lord, pass away, breast cancer. So I've just kind of dealt with this disease throughout my life in different ways. And I told my husband when that first indication came back that we want to look a little closer, I told him, I said, if they should find cancer cells, then I will get a double mastectomy. Now, you can read a lot of different books, and you can read different recommendations on whether or not you need to do that or you don't need to do that. But for me, it was what I was going to do. And there was my philosophy was that I wasn't going to lose my life to save my breast.
Right.
So anyways, I took the magnified mammogram, and it's the same procedure as a regular mammogram. That means I didn't feel there wasn't anything different. After the magnified mammogram, they called me back in to do like an ultrasound to look. And the radiologist said, we're still not sure what we're seeing. So right there during the magnified mammogram, they wanted to look further because they still weren't sure. So they scheduled me for a biopsy. And
is this January of 2010, Rhonda?
This is January of this year.
Right.
They scheduled me for a biopsy, and also had me go in with a nurse advocate. And her name was Michelle. And Michelle just kind of sat me down and tried her best to just give me the spiel about, we don't know what we'll see. We'll just make our conclusions when we get all the information. But she kind of started that road and just getting, my mind prepared that if this is cancer, we have a different journey this year than we had planned.
Yeah.
We're going on a vacation that you don't want to go on.
I'd say.
So a week later, and just every week I would have something else to do that was concerning this. So a week later, I came in for my biopsy, which wasn't nice, by the way, not nice at all.
Yeah.
And so, and the biopsy came back that I had cancer in the duct of my right breast.
Okay.
It was non-invasive, and it was contained inside the duct. So the bad news is it's cancer.
Yeah.
The good news is that it's all contained. It was very small. Nothing had protruded outside of the walls of the duct. Or they would say microscopic invasion. So there wasn't any mass, there wasn't any lump, there wasn't any bump, there wasn't anything to indicate that I had breast cancer, other than the fact that when they did the biopsy, they found cancer cells in the duct.
And so, Rhonda, think about the timing of this, because I remember you had gone in just for your annual mammogram. So you did not find a lump and then see your doctor and make an appointment to inquire. You just happened to go in. Well, we say happened, but it was the time to go in for your annual mammogram. And there was just the slightest little shadow, like you were talking about initially, just the smallest possible speck of anything, like you said, a dandruff flake, right?
Right.
So, we're so grateful for the timing of that, as opposed to maybe you just had your mammogram and then you don't go for another 12 months. Well, what if on, month 13 or month 2, right?
Right.
So we're so grateful for that timing.
Right. Exactly. And the first thing I'm thankful for is that I had a radiologist who wanted to make absolutely sure.
Good.
And they very well could have said, let's watch it for another year.
Yeah. Or come back in 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And so with the biopsy, there are tests that they do on the actual cells. One thing that I didn't realize is that there are different types of breast cancers. So I just thought breast cancer was breast cancer.
Right. Well, yeah.
But breast cancer has different. Breast cancer cells may have different indicators.
Okay.
There is in the most common ones. There's the cancer cell. The breast cancer cell can be estrogen receptive. It can be progesterone receptive.
Okay.
And it can have a HER2 protein. That's just a little receptor site. It's called a HER2 protein that the cancer cell will have.
Okay.
And in my case, I have it all three. Oh. So thank God it was small, but it was also an aggressive, more aggressive cancer, very receptive to estrogen, very receptive to progesterone, and very receptive to and then having this HER2 protein. And one thing that was really interesting, you know, I've always been very health conscious and taking care of myself.
Yes, you have.
But I was a semi-vegetarian. And that means that I tended toward vegetarianism. I had my lattes with soy milk, and I would eat tofu from time to time, and loved edamame, you know, different soy products. Soybeans and soy protein, their chemical makeup mimics estrogen. So while I was thinking I was doing something great for my body, that the chemicals in the soy were triggering the cancer cells to reproduce.
Yep. And who would have known that?
So I mean, that just goes to show you, you know, you have to you have to maintain a healthy, balanced diet.
Right.
So when these studies come out and say you should be eating all this stuff in enormous amounts, don't do it. Because you never know. The next week they'll say that you shouldn't be doing that.
Oops.
You know?
Did we say that? Right.
Coffee's good this week.
Yeah.
No, now it's not good.
Yeah, right.
Red wine is good this week.
Yeah.
Oh, now it's going to kill you.
Yeah, yeah, right.
So you have to be careful with the studies that come out and just live a healthy, balanced life. So going from a person who didn't even like to take aspirin to a person who's now pushed into this atmosphere where you're being drugged and poked and having surgery was, you know, a total shift in my my reality. Right. The hardest thing was, of course, to let your family know, let your friends know. And
boy, did I cry a river that day when you called me. I remember that day.
And then I had to tell my children. Yep. And what I told them was that we're going to face this not in fear, right, but in faith. Yeah. We're not facing this in fear, right, but in faith. We've got an advocate. We've got a healer. Yes. Thank God that I know Jehovah Rapha, my healer.
Yeah. Amen.
And I often think about that song that we used to sing in Sunday school about the wise man who built his house upon the rock. Right. And then the foolish man, he built his house upon the sand. Yep. And then if you remember the song we sang, the rains came down and the floods came up. Well, they came down and the floods came up, right. Rains came down. They came down on both.
Yes, that's right.
So just because you are a wise man and you build your house upon the rock doesn't mean that you're not going to get rain, floods, storms, that things aren't going to shake your world. Right. And but I'm so glad that my house was built upon the rock. Right. And the rest of the song goes, After the rains came down, the floods came up. The house that was built on the rock stood.
Yes.
House that was built on the sand went smash.
Yep.
And I can literally say that I have felt that secure, firm foundation underneath my feet, almost tangibly, even though the storm was hitting me. So, not even fast forward, the week after I got the word that this is what it is, I was in the operating room having my double mastectomy.
1 week after that.
About 1 week after that. So it's just like, let's just go. Let's just get it done. Let's do it. This is what we're going to do. Let's just do it without really even any second thought at all. In fact, the only ones who knew that I was diagnosed with breast cancer and those who knew that I was going in were those who were going to stand with me in faith.
That's right.
So I didn't call my dad, and I didn't call my brothers. And a lot of people around me didn't know because I wasn't going to carry that with me.
That's right.
About worrying about what, I hope they're not worried. I hope this, I hope that. If you can't stand with me in faith, then I'll let you know when I'm out. Yep. I'll let you know when I'm done.
That's right.
And then you can come on the tail end.
Yep, that's right. Rhonda, can we just pause for a moment? I know that we have a lot of viewers out there who have had breast cancer themselves or who have had loved ones who have. And can you just tell us, how is it that you were able to, first of all, just so freely and so knowingly make the choice to have that double mastectomy even prior to that full diagnosis coming back, and then also that day when you went into the surgery? You know, you hear of so many women, their femininity is associated to their breasts, as if that is, you know, identifying them somehow. That is some form of their identity. But you went in with a completely different mindset. How is it that you could go in thinking the way that you did with the philosophy that you had?
Well, I think that a lot of that just comes from being a confident woman, of knowing that I am not identified by my breasts, that I'm not identified by my hair.
Right.
I am not the outward person.
Yes.
I am who God created me to be. And if He can look on the inward man, then all those who are important in my life will be able to do the same.
Right.
So it, you know, and reconstruction, you know, then they tell you, you can always get reconstruction, and I've opted so far not to even do that. I wear a prosthetic bra. And
which I've
actually
seen, and it's
you know what's really freeing actually is to go running without any support.
Right.
Can you imagine that?
And prior to this, if I just might add, you weren't exactly an A cup, and you are a smaller framed, slight woman of, what are you, about 5'6", 5'7", and you have like
5'5".
18-inch waistline. And
yeah, right.
Oh, honey, please. But, you know, you were fuller up top, and you do enjoy running and working out and being fit, and that is one of the first things she said. I am free.
Yeah. It really is. Like, now I just put on my put on a T-shirt, put on some sweats, and I'm ready to go, girl.
And do you remember the first day that I saw you after your surgery? I just now thought of this, Rhonda. When I hugged you. You remember what I said to you that day?
Yeah.
And I didn't mean it literally, but I said, "Oh, I've never been able to hug you so close." Not.
We're closer than we've ever been.
Yeah, we're closer than we've ever been. And of course, I just meant in the spirit, in the moment, not because you were sans breasts, you know. Oh my goodness. But that's another thing that I have observed, Rhonda, is that you've held on to your sense of humor throughout all of this, because that is part of who you are. So you didn't just drop that part of you. You held on to that, and laughter truly is a merry medicine.
It is. It is.
Okay, so go ahead and pick up then where you were. So you included people who really could stand with you in faith.
Right.
And
I think that that's important, because when you're undergoing anything serious with your health, and you are still trying to absorb it, you're still trying to put your head around this whirlwind that you're in.
Right.
You don't need baggage. You don't need any baggage to be coming with you. It's almost like you have to take a real selfish approach to your own psyche, to your own mentality.
Mental.
Yeah. And for me, that was what I needed for me. I didn't want any tears. I didn't want anybody crying over me.
Well, sorry, but I had to initially. Let me just tell you, honey.
But not in my face.
No.
Right? Not in my face.
No.
And in fact, when I after the surgery, I said, okay, it's been 2 weeks after the surgery. I think my family should know something. so
2 weeks after, time to let the people know.
Yeah. So I wrote a letter to my all my family, and in that letter, I told them there were 4 scriptures that the Lord impressed upon my heart, that I said, this is what I'm standing on. Since that time, since in that initial letter, the Word of God has just come alive, and there's just so much more. Yeah. But there were 4 scriptures that that were my foundational stance. And the first one is in Mark 16. I'm sorry. The first one is in Isaiah 53, verse 4 and 5. It says, by his stripes we are healed.
Yes.
And I claimed my healing from the very moment that I got the diagnosis. I said, well, I am healed.
Yes.
That didn't mean that I wasn't going to proceed with what was wise.
Right. And how medical science could help you.
But I claimed my healing. I am healed.
Right.
I'll do whatever it is that the doctors recommend. I also saw a naturopath. I also got a lot of rest and ate well and did everything else that I was supposed to do.
And did a lot of research on your own.
You have to be your own health advocate.
Yeah.
You have to, do that. And Nahum 1 and verse 9 says, affliction shall not arise a second time. And breast cancer is a vicious disease. When it comes to you the first time, it's in your breast. And a lot of times what happens, because those glands are very near to your lymph nodes, and there's lots of drainage from your breast to the rest of your body. Breast cancer has a big tendency to metastasize to other parts of your body. So usually what women die of breast cancer, not because it's in their breast. They die because it has metastasized to other organs. My mother passed away because the breast cancer had metastasized finally to her brain. And so that's really what takes what kills you is it metastasizing to other organs and other parts of your body. So what I'm claiming and what I'm standing on now, that I've come through the majority of my treatment, I'm not done yet, but the majority of it, the hard part, is that Nahum 1:9, it shall not arise a second time.
Amen.
So so that's right now what I'm standing on. I also stood on the fact that after the surgery, because I had all those 3 indicators of the cancer cells, after the surgery, I knew that I would have to undergo chemotherapy.
Right.
When all the diagnosis came back from the tissue samples, and my lymph nodes were clear, everything was clear. They said that I did not need radiation, thank God. So I don't have to do radiation, but I did have to do chemotherapy. And so I had to undergo 8 treatments of chemotherapy. And chemotherapy basically is napalming your body. What it does is it goes in and it kills every fast producing cell in your body. So the cells in your body that are quick or fast producing, like a cancer cell is, a cancer cell reproduces itself very quickly, are hair cells, skin cells, blood cells. Some of those cells are the ones that reproduce quickly. So especially the first 4, the names of them are adriamycin, which you can hear that, and then there's cytoxin.
Okay.
Now, just in the name of that drug, cytoxin, it's a toxin that they're putting into my body. And so me having a little bit of a science background and understanding the meaning of words, it's like, cytoxin. Yeah. I am literally putting toxins into my body. And while you're doing that, they say you cannot take like what is it? Like vitamin C, lots of vitamin C or vitamin D. You can't take a lot of that. So I saw a naturopath who helped me with that. But then I also stood on Mark 16 and 17. And that says, if I should drink any deadly thing, it shall not hurt me.
That's right.
So I had just girlfriends. You were one of them. Come in to chemo with me, and we would just not only just talk and share and laugh and keep it light, but we would also pray, and we would pray over those drugs as they went into my body. And we would declare and decree that these drugs are going to do exactly what they're intended to do and nothing more. They shall not hurt me. Mark 16 and 17.
That's right.
They will not hurt me. And, you know, it wasn't fun, and I had a little dip in energy. And during the first 4, you get a little bit, you know, it takes away your appetite. It made me feel like I was morning sick, which is kind of like that yucky feeling all day long. So I felt yucky, but I never was at the point where I was I couldn't keep down fluids or I couldn't keep down food. I was never to the state at which I've heard some people go through. So it shall not hurt me.
Well, I know when I joined you for the chemo party number 3, you and Lewis then took me out to dinner at the Met, downtown Seattle. And girl, you sat there and ate a full meal with a smile on your face, and we laughed and laughed. It was just incredible.
Sorry about that.
You had such strength and vitality. I mean, nobody would have known. And you were working that scarf, too.
So, needless to say, you know, I've been through my 8 chemotherapies. That ended in July. And my hair has started to sprout back.
I see those little sprouts. Look at you, and working the eyebrows, too.
You know what? I've gotten so many compliments.
Yeah?
On my hair.
Oh,
they say, "Oh, girl, that hairstyle is so sharp. I love your haircut. That's so bold.
Where do you get your hair cut?"
It's so wonderful. I've never gotten compliments on my hair till it's, you know, just sprouted about this much, and so I think I'm gonna keep it. I think I'm just gonna go to the barber shop with my husband, save some money, and it's so easy too.
Well, you are working it, and I mean, you have the face for it, that's for sure. You're so stunning looking, so shoot, stick with it, girl. Well, Rhonda, can we go back just a little bit to I called that your third chemo session. I just referred to it as a chemo party. How is it that I could say that? Can you explain that to our viewers a little bit of what those sessions were? Were you alone going in there, like we saw most folks in there were going through their chemo sessions by themselves?
Right. I almost felt guilty how much fun we were having. And I actually missed them.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was a time that I don't get together with my girlfriends anymore.
Yeah, it was a beautiful time of bonding too.
It was fun.
Fun.
Well, you?
Well, the nurse did have to come in that one time and ask us to keep our laughter down just a bit. Right. Remember that?
Right. Because we would just talk and we would just share and we would just
pray and laugh and
pray and share the word and it was really a time where it was unscripted. There was nothing planned and I just felt so loved and so supported and so nurtured during that time that you guys, my girlfriends, made a hard time in my life easy. And I just want to thank you for that, Sonya. You made a very difficult time easy. And I think that speaks so much to friends and family who may have a mother or sister or daughter who's going through this. And your support and your love means so much during this time. And there's the words thank you don't seem to say enough. But I do thank you, and I just love you so much.
Amen. Well, I thought it was so interesting. I'm 3,000 miles away, so I couldn't be there for all of your sessions. And I thought it was so interesting how you had shared with me, because I would ask, well, who's coming this week? And literally you said, God knows. And it was just worked out.
Yeah, I was never alone.
You were never alone. The combination of supporters was different each time for you. Right into the waiting area, right into that initial examination room, and they have that. What's your little thing called? It's
called a port.
A port.
Let's see if I can get it on camera.
Oh yeah, you still have it?
You probably can't see it, but there's a port in my chest right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably can't see it.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. Mm-hmm.
And that's where they put the medicine through the IV.
Mm-hmm. And can we mention on the air too the name of the place where you went to for those? Because I just want to commend those nurses. Remember that doctor that day that I was there with you? How caring she was. So passionate about her work, wasn't she? And just to let all of us wild women come and invade their space. And I mean, and gave us that special suite. Well, we called it a suite, but the special room, because there was so many of us, and they themselves were sensitive.
Yeah.
They were compassionate. They were tender, and they were caring and so professional. And I just want to commend them. What is the name of that institution?
That's Stevens Hospital Oncology. Stevens Oncology.
And
they are remarkable people. They are remarkable people because if you think about it, this is their job. They see cancer patients every day of their lives. And for me to not feel like I was a number, or that what I was going through wasn't important, or because I've been with some doctors who just kind of give you the diagnosis and they just kind of point blank, this is what's going on, and deal with it. But I felt supported and nurtured also by the hospital staff, by my doctors. And in fact, when I was talking with my nurse advocate, one of the things that I said, I would ask her, if this was you, who would you go to? And so she sent me, first of all, to the surgeon that she would go to. And so I went to that surgeon. And after I was with the surgeon, I said, okay, we got to do oncology. Who would you go to?
Yes.
And so with that, I found an awesome oncologist, Dr. Eileen Johnston up here in Seattle. Wonderful oncologist, very bright, smart woman, and able to explain things and yet be professional, and yet not rush in and rush out of the room with me, but make me feel like I had time also to talk to her. So.
Well, I just wanted to make sure that we mention their names because they really are to be commended. For those of our viewers who have never experienced cancer and what it's like to go through with the chemo and stuff, so you're sitting down, Rhonda, and they come in and they open up that port and they put the tube in, and then they go ahead and they start the intravenous. Is that what you call it? The intravenous drugs. Right? And so how long did that? Some sessions were like 2 hours, or were they 4 hours?
The first 4 with the Cytoxin was, I had to do 4 sessions with those, and those were 2 hours each. And then I was given a drug called Taxol.
Okay.
And with that Taxol, I was also given a drug called Herceptin. And that Herceptin, if you remember that protein that's on the cell that they found, HER2 positive Herceptin, it's like a targeted drug. So the Taxol has to go in really slow. So that was about 5 hours to sit there for the Taxol, and I had to do 4 of those. And I'm currently still taking Herceptin every 3 weeks. But I tell people, oh, that's just like drive-through.
Right.
That's fast food.
That's just like...
it only takes a half an hour, just in and out. So by the time I sit down and open up my magazine, I'm done. So I do drive through, and it's not technically called chemo now. It's a targeted drug therapy. So, which is awesome. They've developed this drug to specifically go after cells that produce this HER2 protein, and the breast cancer cells that were found in my body produce this HER2 protein. So it really targets those cells to identify them, capture them, and take them out of your body.
In about 10 minutes, Rhonda, we're going to show a news clip from one of the news stations there in Seattle. Had done a story on you. They just aired it a week ago, Saturday. And do you know I had to watch it 3 times in a row? Rewind, play, rewind, play. 'Cause there was my girl, and it was such a powerful story. So I'm very excited to get to that news clip. But you used a term on there that I don't know that many people are aware of. It was called the triple threat. Can you explain that?
Well, the triple threat
Are those the 3 things you were talking about initially?
Right.
Okay, so that's the term triple threat was in reference to those 3 that you were referring to.
Estrogen and progesterone and the HER2 positive. All 3 indicators I had. Which in fact is good. If you can think that it's aggressive, but it's good because they know how to find it. When you don't have ways, when it's elusive and it's not responsive to this and it's not responsive to that, then you don't know how to attack. Kind of like know your enemies. You know who your enemy is, and so you know how to attack your enemies.
Right.
So, if you I just thank God, that there's drugs specifically designed for HER2 positive.
Right.
Cancers, that there's drugs specifically designed. I'm taking an oral medication called tamoxifen, specifically designed to prevent my cells from absorbing or reacting with estrogen. So because I have the 3 indicators, they have 3 sets of arsenal that they can attack cancer with. So that's a good thing.
That's right. We are grateful for that. Now, you were saying what you're on right now is, do they open up that port again in your chest and put it in there? Is it a pill or what?
The Herceptin, and it's my skin. It's underneath my skin, so really they just poke through my skin to the port.
Oh, okay. All right. And that's the drive-through. It's just a real quickie, just a little quick fix. Couple articles in O Magazine, and you're good. Yeah.
And I don't have any side effects, hair growing back, and it's just a drug I take every 3 weeks.
I've heard so many stories of the ill effects of all of this. And of course, it can affect people differently all the time. But it was absolutely remarkable, Rhonda, how little side effects you had. Remarkable, miraculous. I would say you continued to work. You continued to sing. You continued about your business. You continued about your business. And who do you attest that to? What do you attest that to? How could that be so?
That's Jesus. He's my healer.
Yeah.
I just stood on the word.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm thankful. And I also just did what I knew to do, which was take care of myself, and rest, and eat well, and take my supplements and.
Okay, so a bad day. So people would, people talk about, but surely you had bad days. I mean, I know you had to have a bad day. Come on. What would you do? Just curl up and stay in bed all day? Or how did you attack and handle your bad days when you felt that coming on?
I would just sleep more. Just slept it through. Yeah. But I can honestly say it wasn't fun. But if you've ever been really sick, if you ever had a really bad cold or whatever, and you just kind of slept through it until you felt better.
Right. Yeah. Sleep it off. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And with the Taxol, it made me feel kind of achy. So I just ran a nice big jacuzzi and hopped in the jacuzzi with some Epsom salts, and so I tried to make it, just like, okay, this is happening, so this is what I got to do. Yeah. This is happening, so this is what I got to do.
That's right. Jacuzzi bath, Epsom salt, few candles, you're good to go.
Yeah, exactly.
And
some grapes, some fruit.
That's right. And girl, I just have to mention, because I'm just have so much respect for your man. And so can we just talk about him, your number one cheerleader?
I can't say enough about my husband. He's made me feel beautiful. He still tells me how beautiful I am, and that even the scars that are on my chest represent life to him.
Amen.
That, he's always stood by me. He tells me now, you need to go home and rest. You're working too hard. Always just a wonderful, wonderful person. And I'm just so blessed to have such a wonderful husband.
You are blessed. And he is a man of God. He is an optimist. He, like you, just always positive, always seeing, okay, but what can be the good that'll come out of this situation? I just think that you guys are a dynamic duo. And, he was just such an incredible, amazing support and rock for you. And I can't tell you how many times in prayer for you I was thanking God and praising God that he sent you Lewis, because of course he knew that this day would come, right, and that together you could take it on together and be victorious and be more than overcomers.
Right.
Rick, let's go ahead and prep that clip if we can. We have about 5 minutes left of the show, Rhonda, and I think this would be a good time to go ahead and go to the news clip here. And this is just a brief summary of a story that Q13 newscast had done on Rhonda in Seattle. So, Rick, do we have that up and ready to go?
Just give me a second here. We'll have it for you.
Sounds good. So is it a beautiful day in Seattle today, Rhonda? Is it sunny, dreary, rainy?
It is. It's sunny.
Is it? Oh, that's
it's
wonderful.
Beautiful. It's one of those wonderful fall days that, crisp air, sunny.
Gorgeous. Wonderful. Hey, can you work out now? You working out again? Or
yeah.
What degree? You back in the gym?
Oh, yeah. I even have a trainer.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, you go, girl.
Because I've gained a few pounds, and so I got to get them off.
Well, except you had the room for it, too, so...
Yeah, right.
Next time that I have you on the show and we have some other topics that we're going to cover, we're going to play some of your music, because that just needs to get out. I have those CDs. Well, you had to replace it because I outplayed the first one, but we'll play some of those on our next time we have you on. So bear with us here, honey. We're getting it together. We almost have it up, so it'll be just a moment.
The statistics are...
Here we go.
Okay.
Astonishing, breast cancer rates are higher in our state than anywhere else in the nation, according to the CDC.
Perella Lewis introduces us to a local woman who battled a rare form of breast cancer known as a triple threat and offers hope to others who might face the same thing.
Well, it is emotional. You know, when you first hear that word, that terrible C word, you know, cancer.
It's been a particularly long year for 49-year-old Rhonda Bremond. In January, she found out she had a particularly aggressive form of breast cancer.
There's three main things they look for, whether it's estrogen receptive, progesterone receptive, and HER2 positive. And in my case, it was all three.
After losing her mother to breast cancer in 2005, Rhonda knew she was going to have to make some hard decisions if she was going to make it through.
I got a call from my regular mammogram that they wanted to do a magnified mammogram. The process just began. And I told my husband right then and there, I said, if it turns out to be cancerous, I'm getting a double mastectomy.
And she did. She also endured 8 rounds of chemo and countless pills, but through it all, she wasn't alone.
My friends and all those people who came with me, we would sit around and we would pray, and we would just be very positive that whatever it is, if I have to do this, it's going to be for a purpose. It's going to be for a purpose in my body, and also it's going to be for a purpose on the tail end to help other people.
Now a breast cancer survivor, Rhonda credits her faith, family, and a huge support system for beating this disease.
That's been I would say the best thing about having cancer. if you can say it that way, is
I tried that form on the phone, Jack.
that I've known, that are my friends, and people that I didn't even know.
Her new mission is to share the lessons she's learned with others who are facing that frightening and uncertain future.
It doesn't have to be devastating, because there are people that will come alongside you, and you will come out of this storm, and you will come out of this fire better than when you came in, as odd as that sounds, but more appreciating of your friends and of people, not letting a lot of things that may have bothered you before bother you now. And you just focus on life, focus on living, focus on people who love you and who are there for you. Don't try and be prideful and carry this all alone, because you don't have to.
Perella Lewis, Q13, Fox News.
There, now you see why I had to watch it 3 times in a row. That's a great story.
Traffic
Rhonda,
around Seattle may be more miserable than usual this
people.
weekend, but Seattle DOT says
there with us, Rhonda?
Monday morning there will be a new way to smooth out your commute. Seattle is about to become the first city in the nation to activate.
Well, there was the story, and I know that it'll be a blessing to many other people. If you'd like to look at that again, you can just go to Channel 13, fox13news.com in Seattle, and under the search, if you just enter Rhonda Bremond, you can see that story again and share it with anybody that might be ministered from that. So how long ago did they contact you and say that they wanted to do that story with you?
Oh, about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay. Wow. How did they hear about you and your story?
Perella Lewis goes to our church, and we met at our annual church picnic.
Okay.
Well, I'm certainly glad, for one, that they had the story on, so I've already sent the link out to so many people, and I threw it up on my Facebook page as well. Well, Rhonda, we are just about out of time. In about 30 seconds or so, is there something, can you just look right into the camera at the top there of your computer, and is there something that maybe you can share with our viewers out there who are dealing with this situation, or it may be coming upon them soon? What would your message be to them?
My message would be that a diagnosis is not a death sentence, and that you need to make sure that your house, your proverbial house, is built on a firm foundation before the storms of life hit. Because it's very hard to build yourself up when you're depleted. But if you're already built up in your faith and all you'll need is a little reinforcement, it makes such a difference. Surround yourself with people who are positive, people who can stand with you in faith, people who will support you, and choose life.
Mm-hmm. Choose life. Amen. That's a good word, Rhonda. Thank you for that. If there's anybody out there that wants to contact Rhonda, or if you have some questions about some of the information that she shared with us, you can go ahead and contact Rhonda at solminod@yahoo.com. And in the memo, just put that it's in regards to Bremond or breast cancer awareness. And we'll go ahead and make sure that this gets in the right hands and that we can get the information back to you. So, Rhonda, I thank you for sharing your journey and your story with everybody today here on Solminod. Thanks for taking the time to join us.
Thank you, son. And we'll see you soon.
I'll see you soon. And
right.
You don't have to sign off right now, but I'm going to sign off from Solminod. So I just want to say I hope that this was a blessing to you today, and maybe shared some information with you that will be very valuable for you in the future, if not today. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Solminod, where all things are possible. Have a blessed week, and we'll see you next time. Ciao.